middle of town, but I found some pretty interesting stuff here. There's actually an entire community of Sikhs and Pakistanis and Indians and different, particularly Pakistanis that live around here. And there's the Islamic community of Valencia. They have like the Islamic Community Center. And so there's a lot of people here that are in, full Sharia. They have full garb. They're dressed this way. Like the men are into, they've got like the tunics, and the women are in burqas and stuff. And it's a whole other side of Spain I hadn't yet found, but it exists here very prevalently. And they're also, in the process of trying to bring back Islamic culture. So they've been trying to reclaim some of the cathedrals. And because the schools will have kids go to the cathedral, so if they say, oh, they don't have their kids go because their kids are Muslim, in the church they'll have St. James skewering a Muslim on a horse. I don't want our kids to see that. So they're trying to clean it up and make it non-religious, make the churches non-religious, so that they have less symbols in them, so they're more comfortable for everyone here. I thought that was very interesting because it fit into what we were talking about.
Yeah, that baby.
Oh, how about you guys? Is Odin's son on here?
No.
Let's do a head count. Who's here?
Right. So we have planned to shrink the participants in the episodes a bit to more on topic.
Grande, yeah, leader. Okay.
And the idea was actually to have you interview Odin's son next Thursday with Ethan and probably myself. So
Carly.
we're only actually waiting for Victor, and Brittany may hop in to listen in. So I don't think she'll participate, but
okay.
We're actually only waiting for Victor.
Carly.
Be well.
When he's done ordering his sandwich, we'll tell him.
Is he ordering a sandwich while live? Yeah, slowly.
They like it to have either completely meat or completely vegetarian. So she has to be like, a little bit of this, a little bit of that. Okay. All right. Well, so I'll interview him on Thursday. I've got an interview with the guy who makes islands tomorrow. He makes plastic islands. So he basically takes bags of bottles and he puts compost on them. So he's got like 4 islands he's built already, and they're fully sustainable. He lives off them, and they have trees that grow off them. It's pretty exciting. Also, I think there's something with Phil Lawler should be out on Friday. Is Victor here?
No, we're still waiting for Victor.
Okay. Mike, though. Mike, did Mike get to show you guys what he's found? Like the heart rocks?
Not yet. We haven't started.
Well,
okay.
We're still trickling in.
We sort of have, but you have to cut this first part off.
All right, I'm going to be right back because I have to do stuff.
Because of this type of shit.
Yep.
Well, that's okay. I'll just utter a bunch of shit, fuck, shit, fuck, shit, fuck, shit, fucks. So he knows where to cut.
Cunt. Help us, Mike.
Shit.
Thank you.
Oh.
Oh, I'm going to tell everybody you said that.
Oh, no. Don't tell my kids.
You raised them up to be all...
I'm going to find out, I swear. I swear.
Children, your father's not proper.
So, I've got to show you something, Nathan. Hold on. I wanted to show you this. Where is it?
I'm going to have such a shitload of work with this map. Did you get to see it, Nathan?
Yeah. It's fucking crazy.
It is absolutely perjured. Did I show you the Gorgon wall?
No, show it off. Wait, you referenced it, but we didn't get to talk about it.
Oh, well, there you go. That's your Gorgon wall. And this is just stuff you can fish right off of Wikipedia if you start looking for it. That's number 2. These aren't star forts, by the way. That's why I marked them out with squares, but
Just separate readouts in a line?
yeah, just at a certain point the wall starts appearing. Like this is the wall. You can follow that all the way. Like here it makes a king. Number 5 just follows the wall. The funny thing, what I found interesting, is this just goes on and on and on until you reach number 33, but it's somewhere here. No.
Of course, that's where it would stop.
5.
Number 33.
8. This is 8 meter. Yeah, this from here on in, it starts being below sea level. Like this one is 23 meters below sea level.
And what have they built on top of all these? Nothing?
No, absolutely nothing. It's all just these types of things. You see a wall remains and a bit of a square.
Yeah.
And that's really all you're getting. But you can definitely follow like the wall, even from above.
So Nathan,
Probably another wall to keep the Tartars out.
Maybe what's above and below this directly?
Well, above it, you got
Kazakhstan,
Turkmenistan, Uzbekistan. So Tartary,
yeah,
basically.
that's wild. And consulting older maps, have you had the chance to take a look at where water may have been?
Well, if you look at the old maps from that time, you can definitely see this. The Black Sea is there, even the Crimea. That's all there. But the Caspian Sea looks to be more here. Like
That could make some sense if that's a coastal wall.
Or this area, like here. See if I can.
It does look like floodland.
Hello.
Hello.
Okay, now we have our Hindu restaurant food. See, this is a cool thing. It's so hard to tell what language is speaks here because everyone speaks a different language. It's so much fun. Like, I had to ask for mustard, and I wasn't sure if I needed to say it in Urdu or Hindi. You know what I mean? Like, it's such a fun neighborhood. I love where I'm at. They didn't understand it in Spanish or English. It's also, I tried that first. For the record.
So you just happen to know the Hindi word for mustard.
Yeah, Sarasot. Of course.
Oh,
come on.
Of course.
You got the Crimea right here.
It's pretty good stuff. I mean, I like mustard. You know, the things that matter are like mustard and like how to count to 10. You know, pretty sure that's about it. And thank you and friend. So you can say thank you, friend, and please, mustard. So So wait, is Victor not going to be there for like a little while then? Is that what you're saying?
I don't know.
Maybe I should re-intervene in 10, 15 minutes. 'Cause I'm actually walking back to the house. Just worried I was so late that I didn't want to like miss it.
No, we're all late today.
Okay, cool. Then I'll just show up in 10 minutes then, because like I can get back and then I'll have my computer just outside. All right, see you guys in a minute.
Later.
How do I put an icon for the Hangout instead of just like the tape that's over my webcam?
Oh, so you're going to have at the top of the screen, you're going to have the screen, the microphone, and then the camera. Click the camera off.
The camera off. Oh.
There you go. And now,
Okay.
when
Yeah.
you go into your Google settings for you as a person, you'll be able to set your avatar. And then you just set whatever picture you like.
You mean like if like the Gmail icon menu thing?
Yep, whatever
So,
you use, YouTube, Google, all that, set it.
all right. So, account it must be. Personal info. Yeah, there we go. Avatar.
So going back to that C.
Do it, show me.
Here you got your Crimea, your Black Sea.
Uh-huh.
That's your Caspian Sea.
All right.
Lake of Baku. Oh yeah, it's just here, city of Baku. Aleppo, Syria,
That's crazy. Yeah, and all of that stuff.
Baghdad, Jerusalem, so Jerusalem, Alexandria, Cairo.
Medina.
Oh, and look, all these cities in Africa.
That's really weird. What are those doing there?
I have no idea. Mike, you were right. There's star forts hidden in Africa.
Me?
Yeah, you were right. There's star forts hidden in Africa.
Of course. What do you think's under the Sahara? My gosh.
I mean, there you go. Al-Gila seems to be under the Sahara, and Perdoa, Al-Baidi, Deogan, Nubia. Wait, Timbuktu is somewhere here. Oh yeah, there you go, Tombouctou. There you go, Timbuktu. Star Fort Timbuktu.
Timbuktu. Hooty hooty hoo.
Look, Cape Town. Yeah, the Dutch really built that star fort in Cape Town. Yeah. Guangzhou, Shanghai. Mongol. Bulgar. Wait, is this place called WikiLeaks? Oh, WikiLeaks. Never mind.
Sorry, I just had a sneeze and fit. I'm back. I missed a thing.
Oh, I was just mentioning the cities on this map, which is pretty interesting, like Kandahar.
Look at all that. Lee was referencing Nostradamus and saying that Persia will be green again. Hey, Victor's here.
Hey guys, sorry to keep you waiting.
Hey, Victor.
No, that's okay. The entire intro of this show went to fuck shit. Yeah, you can cut again, Andreas.
Oh well, what have you guys been talking about? Hey Tocayo.
Hola. Except you can't use that term.
Oh, sorry.
Unless we make you an honorary Mike, then you become part of the Mike-tinuum.
Yes.
Oh, the mic continue. Oh, that's great. I like that.
Yeah, it consists of all the Mike-tivated ones.
The mic. That's bug mindling. Oh, bug minding. Bug miking.
It's Mike boggling.
Yes,
That
I'm
is
constantly
Oh,
boggling.
that's better. That's better one. Mike boggling. Yeah.
Mike boggling. Yes.
Oh yeah. So sorry to arrest the conversation.
Wait a sec.
So,
Wait a sec. Go to that left island on the equator, on the far left in the map. I'm sorry. Los Volcanes? Sorry, up the tropic, not the equator.
Los Volcanes. That's Hawaii.
Nice.
what's-
That's really cool.
is that Hawaii? Yeah.
I mean, it fits on the map. Awesome.
There's a star fort in Hawaii.
Instic Las
Oh.
Oh, it could. It's funny. It may be like the northern tip of the sunken island of California.
Hey, it's got your dragon. Is that where it's located?
It does. Somewhere. Yeah, it's around this area, isn't it?
What? That's a little baby otter.
Mike has a 2,500-mile long dragon.
Yeah.
Makes Rogers look like a twerp. There it is.
It could be a fish as well, but I get why one would think
It's got all those
dragon.
feathery, spiky-looking things that come off of it. It looks very dragony to me.
Yeah, I guess why you would. I guess I can see that just a bit. Have you? But I didn't get an answer to my question. What have you guys been talking about?
Wow.
You.
Oh
yeah,
no.
absolutely. Just you and Star Forts and
We like your haircut.
yeah,
Oh no.
we love your haircut.
I'm blushing
I
now.
don't know how that came up, but we love your haircut. There you go.
Looks really great with that shirt you got on right now.
No, I was just pretty
That's
much
freaky.
babbling on about Star Forts and this old map I found when Andreas hopped in and sort of still had to get a lunch and then sort of didn't and then sort of did.
Lunch? That's weird because it's like 8:30 in our time zone. So
I don't know. I don't know.
He hopped on, and I made a joke about him buying a sandwich, and then he came back with food. And he knows mustard in a lot of languages.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
Yes, we found that out. Mustard.
Yeah.
Mustard.
Was it?
Oh.
He knew it in Hindi. I wonder if he knows it in Swahili.
Do they
Probably don't.
have it in Swahili?
All right, so
Yeah. To
So
get,
Nathan.
first.
I was
I-
looking at this thing.
Well, I
Sure.
don't know. Should I go first, or maybe we should hear Mike out first? You know, Mike Stilliam, or I don't know if you said him to Mike Stafford.
Well, first off, Mike and Victor, how'd you guys come across this map? Because you guys were talking about star forts in Russia.
No, that's all.
It was Mike who found it. I just reacted.
I asked Victor, what was it, Vic, 3-4 days ago? All the Russian maps you have, I need them.
Oh yeah, that's true.
You came back to me. I have this and this and this and this and this, which I already had, and I'll just go on a search and we'll see what we find. Then you, Nathan, post a link about the Ring of Fire to me on Stolen History forum.
Oh yeah.
That leads to a Star Fort topic, at which the last page sits this wonderful link to Russian Star Forts.
Oh yeah, and it's
a
so
lot of
crazy.
Eastern Europe filled with Star Forts, just like the Netherlands, Germany, Southeast Europe.
Oh, the Balkans, yeah, totally full of them.
Urals.
But Russia is like the northern parts of Russia are surprisingly, yeah,
well,
lacking in
every
star forts.
star, every blue star you see isn't really there.
Oh, it's a former star.
You get to city.
Uh-huh.
And if you click on the star, you get a link to a website that shows you where you are.
Oh,
And
just to look.
on an old map. So
Uh-huh.
And now we're live now.
Yeah.
So will you tell people how to find this? Because you get a lot of people that ask you, is there a star fort in my hometown? Have you heard of this star fort? Is this a star fort? Tell people how to look while people are listening.
Yeah, you can do that. This makes it really easy, right? Because you get all these things to old maps that actually confirm the existence of star forts on an old map, and if there's more old maps, he will link him in. In my case, I go off of what Victor shares with me. Like, I got a bunch of old maps.
Huh. Yeah. Yeah, I've uploaded just a few.
Yeah, but only 754 I can now use as an overlay.
It's going to be good fun.
Just as an example.
So, if somebody walks into the Discord, where do they find this?
We got a whole Star Fort section actually going up.
Wow. You hear that, everyone? A Star Fort section.
It's
All
basically difficult to keep up in there because I just posted map and links to map as a crazy person for the last month or two. So yeah, but now I have halted my crazy search for Star Fort maps, so we can get a break from perhaps adding more maps to make overlays from, and then just maybe start from scratch, and then from there, when it gets started, I will probably go, and we will always have time to find more maps to make overlays with. So yeah, I stopped it now. It's free to go in there and chat again.
Now, chat's good, but for anybody that wants to find if there's a star fort in their hometown, this is for anybody listening. Download Google Earth. When you get Google Earth, and this is Pro, not the web-based version, then you go to the Star Fort section, and you can find the KMZ files for this.
At the moment, you still have to send me a private message because I'm still working on the KMZ.
Aha, so patch updates.
There's one other Mike in the world that has that KMC, and he's right here.
Mm-hmm.
And me.
Hello, Stellium.
You don't have my most current KMC.
Oh, I'm late.
Yeah.
You've been busy.
Oh, yes, I've been really busy. You've seen my work, right? That's this.
Wow.
Yeah, it doesn't really want to zoom because I'm using 2 screens and 3 map browsers to work on it.
Time to buy another server.
Also, the Russian map, Mike, it doesn't have the same readout plan as you do, right?
No, mine is a little more elaborate.
Let's say
visible city versus invisible city. These are stars tied to a city close by, orange ones. Like this was a star fort.
Oh yeah.
This is the one that sits inside the city. I color that orange. If there is a ring of forts around the city, I give it an orange marker as well. And if the city is really big, like Venice, the readout ports
Very close to there.
get marked with an
Oh, Mike, Stillium, you might need to either move closer to the mic or turn it up a bit because you were very low. Your volume.
Yeah, how's that better?
Yeah, a little bit better, but you can either turn it up more or what? Yeah, whatever you did.
I boosted mic sound. Make sure that works. If I give it a red star, I have it confirmed on a map, but you can't really see that it was a starport anymore. This is Mantua in Italy. Go to the old maps. Look up Mantua. Where do we have Mantua? There you go.
How about now? Is that better?
Yeah, it was better.
You're still quiet on my end. I don't know. You were loud enough.
Yeah,
Mantua.
it was absolutely fine. But here you can see Mantua in an old map. Starfort here, Starfort here. And
Yeah.
the city is fortified as well. Now back to current day situation.
You still see the remnants of the old fort. Yeah.
You can see Gold Gibney did a recent video on the inner city structures. You can definitely see by how they built where the edges of the town were.
Mm-hmm.
Just right after this line.
Yeah, it's easy to see the change in style
You can
just from there.
the whole style of building changes.
Yeah, that's the old world within the walls, and the newer world or the more modern world with outside of the walls.
Exactly.
Also, look how some of the lines were curved in the streets, wavy patterns.
It's probably waterways.
Yeah, but also if you think about corrugated wave patterns, it may have something to do with that as well. To have those soft lines would, I guess, also be better for wind, the ventilation through the city. But yeah, that's another topic. Please carry on.
Oh, that's about it. If I got a red star, it's confirmed on a map, but you can't see it anymore. So what we're going to find is that in Russia, we're going to end up with a lot of red and light blue stars. Light blue is a city that was once a starport. Like this pretty much shows it, this whole outline.
Yeah.
Here, you got the fort that's set at the edge of the city.
Oh yeah, it's easy to see now.
This is your readout.
Yep, you can. It's submerged. It's like the base is in the water now.
Yeah, but there's no walls visible, so I just give it a light blue star.
Okay.
And I don't have a map of Yaroslavl either, because if I have a map, I'll still give it a dark blue color. In this case, it is a dark blue. You can pretty much see what it was.
Yeah, that one is great.
That's pretty self-explanatory.
Mike, you're still really soft.
Soft. He's a softy. Yeah, he knows that.
Well, I need to talk up, but this is a very sensitive mic.
How did this happen? You were perfectly clear before.
He said it's a very sensitive mic. Just put your mouth on it.
Oh, now the 4 mics. A lot of mics.
What a lot of, yeah, we have a lot of mics.
Well, Mike needs a mic, but the mic that has a mic that's sensitive.
All right, I'm gonna try just shutting off this.
Moscow, I have confirmed by a map, and you can pretty much still see like the old outline of what it was.
Hmm.
How about now? Is that better?
It's slowly getting better, Mike, but it's still not very good.
Arr.
R.
Yeah.
Sounding like pirates now.
Oh, you
Oh
know,
yeah,
this
the
one-
mic is quite. Are there really that many down there? Huh. Crazy. Didn't know that.
no, this was quite recent find with an old map actually.
How about now?
I've. That's a little bit better, at least in my end.
I got everything maxed at 100, and it was working just fine.
Oh, well, we'll get Andreas to boost you up when he edits it. So yeah, let's just carry on from here then.
I don't get it. Why?
Strange. Okay. Sorry, I can't what it's supposed to.
Sonderberg.
Yeah, Sonabol. It's a funny thing. Borg. It means in the old Saxon language, it means pledge. So you have a Borg you have a pledge there. You have it's within the kingdom, right? So whoever controls the Borg is under some type of freehold for a bigger lord or a bigger king. So a Borg is like an old, a city state that is under a freehold, I guess.
Yeah, vassal state.
A vassal state, exactly. And it's funny how the word cyborg comes to have another meaning then if you play around. And because psi as a prefix means sea, as in the ocean. And so you have a sea pledge as a cyborg, a pledge to the sea of commerce. Just a little side note.
No, that's actually quite funny if you think that's the only reason we'd actually need cyborgs.
Yeah. Well, the cyborg then comes to be a broader term. It has both a narrow sense and a very broad sense to the word. At least also in philosophy, it's very broad. Like everything can be a cyborg these days. But yeah, I digress on that.
I want to take a quick
How's my volume now? Is that a little
before
better?
I give the mic to someone else.
Oh yeah, maybe maybe we should actually get Stellium to show some of the things he showed me earlier, because that was truly mind blowing. And just you don't have to show everything, Mike, if you want to keep some of the things for your videos. I understand that.
Can you hear me all right now?
Oh yeah.
Oh, that's much better. Perfect.
Hey, you fixed
Hey, hallelujah, just in time.
Perfect.
Okay, so you want me to show a little bit of what I've been working on lately? Well, should I share my screen then, or
Yeah, sure.
what should I do? Okay, so where do I? Oh, there it is.
You click that green.
Yep, got it.
Thing, and then entire screen, and yeah, then we're seeing your screen now.
You're seeing mine now. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Good.
Yeah, you're looking at my stuff and you're about to, yeah.
Oh yeah, perfect. That's what we want.
Okay. So this is a rock that I came across a few months ago when I was walking in a river bottom, and it just caught my eye because I'd been looking into the whole mud fossil thing. You guys have all seen the videos that I produced on the mountain that is an elephant, and the mud fossil, mud flood topic along with that comes the idea that there have been these resets that have wiped out great portions of the world's living beings, and that could fossilize in a variety of different ways. And so when I came across this, I was like, wow, it looks like flesh, and it's got the marbling. It looks a great deal like a heart. And then as I started to examine it more and more, I realized that it had a ton of features that were related to the shape of a heart. And I'll show a video of it more up close here. Where is it? Trying to find a specific video. Not there. Sorry about this, guys.
That's okay.
I've got several videos, but the one I want to show you of that specific heart. Basically, what I can do, I'll just zoom in here. But
Mike, maybe you should start from the beginning and tell how you found what this is and how you found them, and the whole, perhaps the context of these finds.
Yeah, well, the basic idea is if something has been fossilized, that's a body, then the different organs are going to fossilize separately, because when you're looking at, you know what, give me a few minutes, because I've got two different folders that I need to merge. So
I can see some of it is from our trip to Monaco as well.
Yeah, there's sorry, I thought I had this all organized. So
oh, no
problem. Let me just stop sharing my screen for a moment, and then how do I do that?
You just did it.
And you can leave your screen shared. I can switch.
Maybe I should then just show some of the stuff that I've been looking on then in the meantime.
Yeah, do that.
For sure.
Okay, so let's see. Okay, I found some interesting things. These are called light ships. And I discussed it with one of our Discord members, what these are capable of. And I was first wondering how they were producing the power to be out at sea and produce this kind of what would be akin to a lighthouse light. But our electrician friend Ahuda Masta, very fitting name, he basically confirmed that he knew that these balls are atmospheric electricity gathering devices, and I have seen them on Tesla's Wardencraft towers. So it's basically the same thing, and these are boats that could go out to sea and produce illumination and for all sorts of purposes. They also had these round types of them, pretty cool. And yeah, they could, for instance, if you had a boat race, these could illuminate the boats in the race, so you could have boat races at night. Yacht race between, so that's the idea shown to us.
This Victor, this boat right here is a current day. It's not used on the boat anymore, but the radio station still exists. And this was a pirate station way.
Oh, you're showing something on your screen?
Yeah, just this second. Present to.
Oh yeah, I see that.
There you go.
I've seen the Lockheed catamaran that has these on the top of them too. It's Lockheed makes a boat that looks just like this, and it's self-propelled. It's propelled by it falling onto the water, and then it actually illuminates. They even emit. It self-generates electricity from the falling forward of the boat, and it uses it to power itself and also to illuminate and to run all of its electricity.
Oh, that's interesting, because that could be a continuation of perhaps the tech that, am I screen sharing again?
Yes, you are.
Okay, but yeah, these are interesting, and if I should have put in some Wardengraph towers to compare. I'll do that for a later stage. But I wanted to show something with the rotating forts we've been talking about before. And guys might remember we had this autographic view of a rotating fort being able to rotate. Isn't it here right now? Isn't it? It should be be in here.
Right, the one in.
Oh yeah, turning forts. Oh, stupid me. This one, right? Forts tournants, meaning turning forts in French, right? So, so yeah, basically, I found that. Oh no, I shouldn't show Google it, but there is something a newer phenomena called rotating houses, and it's going on right now, and it's pretty much it just invokes the idea of these rotating forts as well. And I just wanted to, where do I have it? Oh yeah, okay, here, and then
We see that with restaurants.
There's
a
an
lot.
Italian. Yeah.
round forts. I think I put them in the round fort.
I saw an article about an Italian architect just the other day that had a home that was rotatable.
Yeah, we got one. We got one over rotating house.
I think I must have put it in here somewhere. Oh yeah, here, roundhouse. So these are able to turn both directions, and they generate their own power from doing so. This should
I
be
like it. I want one. This looks like exactly my kind of thing. I need this.
yeah, this is
It's the
what you need.
Space Needle.
But if you could imagine, and one of it was, I think it was this one. There was this guy from California, and he had a news article about it, and the numbers in the news article was like, this house can turn 360 degrees in 33 minutes. So that was pretty interesting.
I bet he was from California.
Do you guys remember Men in Black? Where they stole from the World's Fair?
Every night when I wake up and go to sleep.
Yeah, those two shows.
Uploaded by CNN, our best friends, right? So yeah, home rotates in 33 minutes. That's pretty interesting. It's completely black, but it just invokes the idea of these turning forts, I think. Yeah, this should be a GIF. This rotates. Should be
beautiful. And imagine if it, the thing is that the original Silk Road compasses, they would put things on water, right? You'd have like a silk worm hole, and it would float in the water. And you use a spoon, and the spoon lands just on top, and it polarizes to a degree. So you could use this also to make sure you're following the sun. And so it's making energy by spinning. I would assume this is doing the same thing, like trying to follow the sun. So it gets energy, it's pushing against it. I don't know, it could be wind, but
it's funny how you mentioned the sun, because one of our new Discord members, he mentioned how the sun could be used to produce this ancient illumination technology. And I'll just show you how he
picture. Just to set this is the rotating house 10 kilometers away from me.
Yeah, I know the one in Alkmaar, right?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll just go out so we can see your. Yeah, that one. It rotates, but it's still kind of nearly square. But yeah, look at that platform it rotates on.
Yep.
It's pretty cool.
There's another one of those ramps going under.
Yeah.
Like we saw earlier, Mike.
The one in Sydney we found a little before recording. That was just.
But yeah, I showed one of our Discord members this one, and this is a column in Place Van Dam. I'm not quite sure where that is exactly. Okay.
France, Victor.
Oh yeah, It looks like France as well. So yeah, this is the normal illumination thing going on from like the 1750s to the late 1800s, and this covered coral is illuminated. And I showed this to one of our Discord members, and he said, "Oh, sorry," he said this. The pillar on the photo works with the same principle as the transmitter Tesla tried to build at Wardenclyffe. The sun generates longitudinal dielectric waves. It's more like a pressure front. So this is Ken Willer's theorem. If you're not familiar with this might sound, well, a little bit alien in terms of what electricity is, but there's a lot of science behind this. By storing the sun's longitudinal waves in the coil and capacitor, the energy gets trapped in time. The energy gets trapped between the coil and the capacitor. And because of this, the tower will resonate with the sun. Now, when you add a receiver at the resonating frequency, you can extract energy from the sun. And that's
Yes.
pretty interesting. I wanted to discuss that with Nathan.
That's a lot of the same stuff we've touched on before. It's used today, but it's interesting to see it used in that fashion then. Did you have any?
This is the column the spoke.
I love how,
Mhm.
just to address it, I think it's really funny because the last few videos, I think we're starting to hit like a new peak plateau level where we're like getting more naysayers and showing up for the first time. They're just arriving for the first time. They're like, hey, what the heck are you guys doing talking about this? How dare you? And it's just funny.
Yeah.
Like, well, what the heck would you do if you heard about this? Like, look at this thing. Please comment on it. What
Yeah.
what is your, seriously?
And there's something weird going on with this illumination technology and the photography going on with it. So this is the Metropolitan Tower in New York, and it's supposed to be 1909, right? And there is a patented date for this image. I think, I'm not quite sure. I think it's for the image. So there's a patent somehow.
1903.
1903, right? And this has a date as well, copyright date, which is interesting because why do you have a copyright date supposedly 6 years after a patent date? I cannot figure that out. It's not that it's suspicious on face value, but I just don't know why you would have such a thing going on. But the interesting thing is that it's not a 9, it's an 8. So it's 1809 that this photograph is supposedly copyrighted, or the image connected to it. And no matter what it is connected to it, there shouldn't be like a date connected to this photograph so early. This is before the accepted dating of photography. It comes out like 10-20 years after this, and yeah, so it's kind of funny. And also either way, you have an electric tower in 1809, and I'm not sure that this tower is supposed to be there in 1809. So it's kind of,
but the advent of widespread electric use in the Americas is largely attributed to the 1840s. Now, we know there's a bunch of holes in this idea, but this is what the general narrative is. 1840s, cheap electricity, million bulbs.
Yeah, but
So,
you can see basically the same thing. We can make a comparison here, right, to an earlier technology. And I got this translated from the Mudflap group. This is Strasbourg. This is the giant cathedral in Strasbourg. And it's completely lit up by what I would think is some sort of atmospheric electricity.
Look at the very top. This is my point for today. I'm sorry to interject. I am of the belief that the urns that you see are replacements of the original urns that line the outside of structures. The Baghdad battery has been in use for 2,000 years, and they gave it up at some point.
Well, it's funny you would mention the urns because
all you need right there is iron, copper, electrolyte, and then a seed.
The leftover pieces of them ended up in people's gardens. You know, there's a lot of people. They there's this whole World's Fair thing. They took all this stuff. They tried to reassemble it the best they could to get something all collected in one spot. And then after that, it didn't last long. So people took the stuff that did. And if you go around San Francisco or into parts of Spain that we've been going through, you'll see the original ones. They're just in people's gardens. But they're there. They're just
they put it there. They're everywhere, and some of them are like deteriorated to a certain.
The Rosetta Stone was found in a garden, being used as a boundary stone. Eventually, they just like, whoa, what is that doing there? Like, oh, well, it's just marked that this is the edge of my property.
Yeah, but if I could just
illustrated my point.
Emphasize some of the text because it may tie in with some of what Nathan is getting into either way. So. The representation of the entire bell tower, the platform and the main tower of the architecture and all its parts, the 4 side towers attached to the main, each with a spiral staircase that has been fully lit every day. And it's a funny comment, right? Every day for like this, somehow this the duration of this celebration somehow. But if you look at the image, and I have the source image somewhere, it doesn't look so celebratory, and I just have this feeling that they want to sometimes put all this illumination thing tied in with weddings and royal happenings because they want you to think that this was somehow a finite resource thing, at the very least. And I think it's I don't really know if I have some things that support the idea that it was very common to have things lit up, and
it's everywhere in folklore. It's everywhere in people's memories. You start looking into the testimonies of old people when they're talking about like the pre-calendar changes. They're not talking about dark, dingy parts of Europe. It's interesting. I've been noticing this too. Gothic culture. I was talking to some kids today. They were wearing. There's all these bright colors here. The flowers in the churches now, when you blast the sandstone clean, they're not black Gothic, right? Black buildings are only Gothic looking in our mind black because of the soot from petroleum, from the coal, from this last 100 years. And actually that's fading from memory. Most people don't even know what a black Gothic cathedral looks like because since 2001, they've all been clean. But once you get this building you're looking at sandstone blasted, it's going to be pink or yellow, like mustard or crimson, or like the colors are very vibrant in the Visigothic period. So our whole perspective is shifting away from this dark, dingy time to a bright, colored, reflective, place.
That's interesting. I've seen some other people talking about that, but if I can just reiterate just for a second, that this comment lit every day was interesting, and there's another interesting comment that the pots or the urns, right, filled with fire pots of a material that can withstand the uncertainties of time.
Oh my goodness.
That's a pretty interesting comment.
Okay, so for your first interesting comment, look at the year.
It's 1744.
I've been bouncing around different things that I want to get into today, and so far each of you has touched on it. But in essence, next reset is my grand idea for today, because we've been looking into the past and we've been paying scant attention to the present with a mind to the future. It's cyclic and it happens again. Do you guys remember the years of miasma where the sky went black? I believe this is during the time of Andrew Hamilton.
There's some, yeah. There's you're talking about 1811, or is there another?
Hell yeah. Well,
Okay.
for the 5 years building up to it, you had a black miasma, a plague miasma seep through the world. And lit every day, that means during the times of the black sky.
Wow.
They provided light.
Also,
And-
the thing is ionic breeze, right? Because they'd be producing
Yes.
electromagnetism.
Yes, and this, when I get into my topic, I mean, we'll delve into this deeper, but I do think that they lit this during the day.
Well, but think about the consequences if everything's running all the time during the daytime in order to keep people from dying in the streets, right? Because when the eclipse happened, let's just go for it. Like, if you guys remember the last eclipse, it was dark and cold. Instantly.
Oh yeah, it dropped 20 degrees in 5 minutes. It was strange.
It's not like oh, you have a day, like normally when the night goes cold, even in a dry place, it takes a second, like in a wetlands, especially, like it should be humid, it should hold the heat longer. So there's something about the sun disk and the moon causing this cooling effect that I would think would probably kill off all the plants if it was for more than a day. I don't think it would last, unless maybe they had something going on. I mean, and there's a story of Daniel where it talks about 7 years of plenty followed by 7 years of famine. I'm starting to think that there's something that happens cyclically that has to do with an astronomical event.
I cannot wait to get into this.
All right. Well, okay, we'll hold it. But that's. It seems like it's more and more evidential, man. We're seeing it everywhere, and people talked about it back then a lot. This is a beautiful superimposition you've got going on right here, Mike. I like it.
I'm not sure what's happening to the overlay.
I like it.
It's not working as it's
You
supposed.
should, Stellium, are you ready to present some of the things you have been looking at?
Yeah, I could.
Well, give me 30 seconds because I just wanted to comment before my ADD kicks in on the last thing I saw.
Oh yeah, but you need to see this, Andreas. Is very mind-boggling.
I will. I was talking to Mike earlier, and I know where he's going, and it's just too big to not talk about fully. So I just want to shut up when he talks. But I just want to really show that this exists because you mentioned these pulled, and so the military, or rather Lockheed, and everybody who pays them has. Mike, are you sharing the screen by the way?
Yes.
Okay, I just want you to see this because it's something you can look into is these catamarans. And catamarans go back to ancient Polynesia. They're actually more popular than the Eritrean Viking-style boats. So looking at catamarans, you're actually able to produce energy by falling forward, and then they end up rising energy to the top. And so these things can produce, so I can find the U.S. Navy Sea Shadow Stealth. This guy here, it has an electric pole, but it shoots out light from the very tip of it so that it can actually go spinning around. It shoots light in every direction, and it goes so fast that it uses it for detection, like it sees with photons, and then that's what cars, like Google cars, use now to do automated self-driving. So it all comes from the patents from Freescale Semiconductor and Lockheed, which has been building it for a while. But it's interesting because it just is exactly the same technology that was being used for the light boats, only they're being used for radio instead of just regular light. They do have siren lights, but they tend to be used more for shooting infrared light. So you don't even see the light, but it's like being used to map across the surfaces and the depths. So there's my story. Keep going.
All right.
Side note, because there's 5 of us, that larger Lockheed boat was shown in a 1990s video featuring
Please say Hulk Hogan.
amphibious assault. And it happened to be with Venezuela in mind back in the 90s.
Which film is this?
I'll see if I can find it for you, but it's an expose video, like a showcase video on what the craft can do, how much it can hold, and its capabilities. But the capabilities are being shown on a mountain range bordering the sea, and it perfectly mirrors Caracas. Like it is Caracas, and they did this in the 90s, and they've been preparing for quite a while. It's a weird segue, but yeah, that boat's famous.
No, that's a great segue. Arguably, World War III started with, you know, Hugo Chavez and reclaiming the oil islands from the oil companies. And those are volcanoes, and they have gold, and they even think they have diamonds. So there's a lot going on with the reclaiming of those islands just on the outside of Caracas. And, you know, Caracas was the site of the biggest earthquake, at least one of the biggest examples besides Moscow. So there's something there, I would agree.
Mike, take it away. Show us this heart.
Yep.
Okay. You guys are going to have to ask me questions to keep me on track, though.
Okay, what are you doing? Sorry.
Okay, that's a good question.
So, Mike, you're a chiropractor. You study bones? Crazy. Tell us more.
Yes, I'm a chiropractor by trade, and I spent about a year studying a mountain here in the town that I live in Spain that I've presented a lot of evidence suggests that it's a Titan elephant. So an elephant that's about 5 kilometers long and about half a kilometer wide, and has all of the anatomic features of an elephant. Sounds crazy, but you'd have to see the videos to really appreciate
For the
it.
naysayers, we can call them pachyderm titanics, you know, if you want, you know, but yeah, if there's something to there, just give it a shot, seriously.
Yeah. So I'll just show a picture here. This is my channel. This is the mountain here, and you can see the shape of the head and exhibits an eye. So I spent a lot of time studying that, and then in the course of studying that and understanding more about the whole idea of mud fossil theory, that that flesh can petrify, it got me thinking that
the mountain you took us inside of. That was the one we went.
Yeah. We went inside the eye of Montgo, and then we went down.
I just noticed that you saved my life because you knew where to go. Like, well, theoretically, if this was an elephant, this would be like the cochlear muscle, and this would be the lungs, right?
Yeah. The cochlea is in the ear.
Well,
the cochlea is in the ear, but in the eye, we went down some channels that match the anatomy of blood vessels or optic nerve channels, and then that actually opens into a larger cavern, which is consistent with what would probably be the sinuses of the great beast. So and
thank God, otherwise we might be dead. So I'm glad that there really was a chest cavity there.
Right. Yes. Otherwise we could have gotten stuck because it was very narrow, and we had to go about, I don't know, 4 or 5 meters at least on our backs, just sliding down this narrow hole.
Just presuming, based on your chiropractic skill, that this would be where it would be, and it was there. And this isn't the first time.
Yeah, that's how I got on this in the first place. Is I came across the whole mud fossil theory, and Roger from Mud Fossils University was also looking at some very large potential fossilized beings, and so that got me thinking, and then I saw a video by a guy named the channel's called J Dreamers, and it was called Petrified Titans, and he started showing all these photographs of different mountains around the world that look like beings, and some of those photographs were of a couple of different islands and a couple of different rock formations that really matched elephants, uncannily. And so I started thinking, well, gosh, this mountain that's right here, where I've been hiking on it for years, maybe there's something to it, and that there might actually be an elephant. So that got me on the trail. And because I've studied chiropractic and I've taken a lot of anatomy and looked at histology as well, I started realizing that certain rock formations that I had been seeing over the years that I'd always kind of puzzled over and wondered how on earth could that have been created through, just typical rain erosion or, the upheaval of tectonic activity. It just didn't make sense to me because it was exhibiting such almost a biological nature. So as I started to get into the mountain more and examine it, I also started to realize that if there was some great flood that was capable of fossilizing a creature of this size, then obviously all the smaller creatures that would have existed around the world would have also died en masse. And so if something big could fossilize, then the smaller ones would as well. And so I was having thoughts like that in my mind, and I was walking down a river bottom, and I came across this rock. And as soon as I saw it, I thought, that looks a heck of a lot like a heart. And it's got the different chambers. This would be the right atrium. This would be the right ventricle. There's a fattiness here that's right where it should be. You've got the coronary artery with the coronary sulcus. It even looks fleshy. These openings here are exhibiting. You can't see it in this picture. I'll show a video. So anyway, I started looking at
the likelihood you'll ever find another one like that again, right? I mean, come on.
Well, I figured if there's one, there has to be more, right? So,
well, as a segue, everyone in the world knows, and you can say this to anyone and only get nods, the beach is a graveyard for the ocean.
Yes.
You're walking in a graveyard.
Right. And mainstream geology tells us that limestone is actually made up of mollusks and fossilized exoskeletons and coral. And so they all exhibit the same kinds of mineral content. And so we're told that limestone, as we see it here on Earth, was formed through millions of years of compression under the seafloors of these remains of dead creatures that then compacts into limestone layers, and then volcanic activity and tectonic activity pushes that upward, and then we get our mountains and we get, the different forms.
Wait, is this the same rock or is this another rock?
This is the same rock from another angle. So this is actually a video that I've taken of the rock. So this is the aorta here, and this is probably the vena cava. So what happens with these rocks is that the arteries, they have the higher pressure in them, and they tend to blow out, whereas the veins have valves in them that keep the blood in, so they're more likely to fossilize and not actually have channels. So if you look at this as it turns around.
Even just for the, now that I'm hearing there's so many naysayers, I gotta say, even just looking at it like the sea life, you can't think of this as compression. It just looks like this is a system that function. It might be that biological organs inside of a system of organs like siphonophoric jellyfish might have looked at this and said, okay, this is the perfect habitat. This milieu is working, and we're going to incorporate this into a body. But you can't say that this was something done by compression. There's just too much evidence that this was an existing system at its lifespan in time.
So Mike, can you explain why it is likely that we find preserved, fully clean stone organs and not like half pieces and stuff like that?
Absolutely, and we'll come back to this video because it shows something that I really want to illustrate in a moment. But your question is great. So if you think about an organ system, start with the grossest picture first. Here we go. So if you look at the pleura, which this area here, so here you have the diaphragm of the torso of a human, and then you got the rib cage, you've got the lungs, and you have the heart placed here. And then so you've got the overall sac here is called the pleura, and all of the organs are floating around in that, and then there's a fluid, but each of the organs is separated by their own sac, right? And that sac is made of fascia. And fascia looks like this. So this is called the pericardium, which is the fascia sac that's around the heart. And so that's going to be a fatty, harder tissue. And when it fossilizes, it's for example, if you think about the lobes of the lungs, they have layers of fascia in between the lobes. So a lung is likely to break and cleave at those points where the fascia is.
So the heart is fascia? All the anarchists and Trotskyites just went, what? I mean...
No, so the fascia is, like, here's fascia. This is another example of it. This is fascia over the pectoralis muscle. So if you look at that, if you're a meat eater and you've carved up meat, you're familiar with fascia, because basically the different... Here, look at this.
Yeah, we call it the silverback or anything so like that. It's a membrane.
This is deep fascia.
Oh my gosh, that is the deepest fascia I've ever seen.
right? So that and it's fractal, so it goes down to smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller. So if you've got a creature that's gigantic, then that's gonna maybe be cleaving here. But if it's a smaller creature, it might be cleaving there. So
look at the bone fascies right there.
Dude, that's a new symbol of fascia for me right there. Is the bone with all of the cells working together to create a muscle. That's fantastic.
Fascia and fascies, huh? There's like a fascia structure to the bone, as Nathan pointed out.
And then you just, I'm sorry to interrupt you, but you pointed at this picture. You had the ventricles. Was that not identical? Like the arteries there that we're looking at, that we're saying mollusks were inside of or something? Look at that. Like, these are so identical. It's just too close.
Oh, okay, I can show you a mollusk if you want. I have some stunning pictures of them.
I'd love to also, just as a Croatian. I mean, we love fishing for mollusks.
They are they're in the old pictures. It's kind of interesting that they and the funny thing about them is that they resemble so much of the architecture, and they're so geometrically perfect. Some of them.
That is gorgeous. That's a live heart.
Man.
Yeah. So if you look at this is showing. I brought the rock back and I started comparing it to my anatomy books and went online and found different free programs that are for 3D anatomy, so you can actually go and look at it from the inside out and all these different angles. And this is the mitral valve, the three valves there of the aorta, and then so you can see that, like here, see how it squishes down there like that. So sometimes they fossilize like this. You don't see an opening; you just see the shape of what was an opening. And this is a cross section of a very thick muscle.
That makes sense.
And then
here's where you would have an opening, and there's the other place.
Yeah. So I started looking at that, and what I wanted to show you here, I'll just go to this one. So if you look here, as it beats, it can take on different shapes, right? Like there, it's got this indentation coming in, and the different lobes of the heart have different thicknesses of muscle. So this particular lobe here, or not lobe, but chamber of the heart, is gonna squish in, and you'll see why that's important in just a moment. I'm just kind of paving the way for what I'm going to show you. So I got this rock home and I started looking at it, and I found that not only did it look like flesh and have an outer fascial layer, and it had all the holes where the blood vessels should be, and then it had this fatty area here. This is separating the two. So right atrium, right ventricle, left atrium. These are the openings and the coronary sulcus. So right here, it's hard to see because I can't zoom in, but there are little parts that rise up, and those are what are known as the papillary muscles. So the papillary muscles have these tendinous cords that open the valves of the heart as it's pumping. So the contractions cause the opening of the valves. So those are present. So then the next thing I did was got my hands on an endoscopic camera. So ordered that online, and it came, and I started looking inside into these areas, and there are chambers inside. And they connect. The different chambers connect. So this one rock was exhibiting about 14 or 15 different, very, very specific coincidences for what I would be expecting to find if it was a heart. But it's obviously way too big to be a human heart, because it's about 4 times the size. So then the question is, what is it a heart of? So if there have been multiple different resets, then you would expect that there would be hearts and lungs and organs of all different sizes that would be found. And so having that as a theory, I went out the day before yesterday, because I'd already found 3 rocks that basically matched that shape. And so I thought, I'm going to look for more. And then I found these.
Oh, hey, calm down. Whoa.
No way. Heart Beach.
Come on. How many of these are? This is 4, 5, 6. Too many.
Wait a
This
minute.
is all.
And are you about to get into how adenosine triphosphate causes flexure?
I mean, I was thinking about bringing up myoglobin and adenosine triphosphate ATPs because I was curious about your origami structure of the fascia. But hold on, just check out how many freaking hearts he's found, man. He's not a heartless man.
So my hearts are made of stone. So all right. So all right.
And we were
so
just
here.
talking about the
All right.
Gorgon.
So this is the thing. I went out and this is all of the ones that I found so far. And this is literally with less than 2 hours of actual looking time. I went to the river bottom the day before yesterday at dusk. I had about a half an hour of light and I found about a dozen. And then I went back today, this morning, for about an hour and I found the remainder. So there's certain themes that each of them have, and I've organized them by theme. And this is what I'm going to be going into on the video that I'm presenting. But you can see this that there are a number of them. This one, this one, this one, this one, this one. They have these cutouts here, right? And then there's a cutout there, and then it's kind of flat on top, flat on top, flat on top. And the flat on top is where the aorta and the vena cava, the two biggest blood vessels, are. And that's also where the whole thing connects into the pleura. So if you look here, see all this? Here's your aorta. Here's that fatty part that was in the thing. Here's the right ventricle. The left ventricle you can't see because it's behind the aorta, but all of this is attached through the, to the pleura in here, and it's attached to the top of a heart. We can all agree that a heart has an up and a down, right? So this is the up of a heart, that flat portion that I was showing you.
Yeah, my heart's full of ups and downs.
Yeah.
Ouch. Hold strong.
I'm sorry. Continue with your science.
Yeah.
Let it out, bro. Let it out.
Okay. So I have another picture. Let's see if I've got it right here. So where the pleura attaches, now we're looking from above down. So we're looking at those flat sections. Does that make sense? And what you find, it's hard to see in these pictures, but most of these rocks on this section have rough tears that are torn out. You can see it there. You can really see it here. You can see it here. And so that's where these were attached into the pleura. And they come in all different sizes, and they change, the morphology of them changes a bit based on how, like, some are flatter, and when they're flatter, you almost never see any of the actual blood vessels, but you'll see the hints of the blood vessels. The ones that are fatter, like this one, and this one, and this one, these tend to show the blood vessels. And then you've got the same cutouts. It's hard to see from this angle, but they're exhibiting the same morphology over and over and over again, and it's scalable. So if you look here where the arrow is at these two, you can't tell it from this angle, but these two are almost identical, and you can see what a huge size difference there is between them. So then that was this morning that I was finding a lot of these, and then I thought, well, wait a minute, what about the bigger rocks? And yeah, let's see. Well, here, let's just take a look at this one. There's a bigger rock. No, this isn't a heart though. This you can see the organic quality. This is in the eye of Montgo. This I've in the third video I've made the assertion that this is probably what's known as the infraorbital foramen of an elephant. So yeah, what else? So this is what I was talking about before. This is looking from above down. So these things are missing because they break off, and then you have at the top you have the openings for the valves, and then you have this rough section where it attaches into the inside of the organ system, and all of them are surrounded by the fascia. And the fascia is everywhere. It's from head to toe in the entire body. So every little section of our body, all the individual bones of the hands, of the feet, all of those things, they're all going to break off in their own separate section because they're surrounded by their own fascia, and they're going to fossilize inside of that fascia. That's what I think is happening. So,
and that fascia actually might aid the fossilization, whereas if it were gone, it would break apart into its constituent parts.
The thing that's funny about this is none of this is really outside of the realm of what's acceptable, except for the idea that this is a fully biological model. And
yeah, just the idea that you found a bunch of them on a beach.
Well, they're all.
And if I can,
rules, it'd be really hard to say these aren't following the same rules, right? We're looking at these and they're doing the same thing. I think we can all agree with that. Maybe we can argue that. I don't know. When we meet them, we'll listen to them. But in the meantime,
when I go through this and you see it in the video, and I'm actually going to be holding them and I'm going to be showing a particular feature, and then I'm going to show how that repeats itself multiple times across the board, then it becomes more undeniable. Here, just lying there like they are, you can't get the three-dimensional feel, and so they all look very different from each other. So someone who's a skeptic could be going, "This guy's out of his mind."
When that my mom's a doctor, so I see what you see, and I held one that you showed me. And the thing is, guys, look into it a little bit before you argue that point. The main thing is there's something going on with this. Let's just assume that we've gotten that far, because let's just keep running with it. What does it mean? They're telling us they're mollusks, right? Because looking into this,
look at my screen, Andreas.
Yeah. Where's your
look at my screen while you say that.
Oh, right. Hey, Mike, can you put it on his screen for just a second? I mean, Ultra Duck, can you put it on just for a second? I just wanted to look at Victor's
Starfort mollusk root maps.
Yeah, Starfort mollusk root maps. I mean, this is a thing about the idea of sea urchins coming onto the shore being giant. And I think, Mike, you had someone post on your wall, wow, if this was a snail looking at a cuttlefish shell, then, man, imagine how big it would have been on a whale.
That was my mom.
Your mom's cool. Well, I wish my mom posted stuff like that more. Well, so the thing is, I wanted to also really quickly, let's go back to my screen if you can for just a second, if I can find the photo of it. Is it here still? Victor, compare yours to this. 3D printed shells. They were 3D printing these, and do you see this, Mike? Is it on the screen here?
I see it.
Yeah, this is actually from a 3D printer. They were printing, look at this one, windmills on the back of the shell. And this crab found it and was living in it. This is what's going on with a lot of mollusks, is they find things that work, right?
Who pimped that crab's ride?
It was a Japanese.
It's telling a story. The whole art piece is telling a very literal.
That's right.
I remember this in school.
So that's what you're suggesting, right, Andreas?
I'm saying so. Yeah.
The whole, it's like a literal. It's like a literal surrealism.
Yeah. I mean, okay. Let's go to the next one just for a second, because I think it's worth noticing that they did this a number of times, and the animals themselves continually enjoy using these things as their own shells. So you can basically find what will work and what won't work depending on a certain amount of this fractal patterns. It's not the cubism they love, right? It's the fractal patterns they fit into. So think about these fractal.
I can tell you by experience from keeping these that they will stick their ass into anything they can stick it into.
Well, that's
if I fits, I sits.
Okay,
yeah, that's it. If I fit, I sit.
You have personal problems with your ex mollusk, but the thing is, I'm just kidding. But there are a lot of these shapes they prefer. They look like this when they prefer them. These last longer. That's why they prefer them. That's why you don't see snails with cubical shells. And I think Bernadinsky's magazine Technosphere, I wanted to find an article from it, but there's a timeout on it. So you're just going to have to know that there are geodes that form in certain ways, and they make more sense and they're stronger. And then the mollusks, they're able to compartmentalize within them and create like a perfect sophisticated system. And if that system is so sophisticated, then maybe when we went onto the land, or because out of the deluge, we're copying parts of those inside of a big bust full of organs, which are made up of sea life. I don't know, and that's kind of one of the mainstream ways of looking at it. But more and more, who's to say it's not that these things were alive, that these things were actually like heart rocks, And the question is, do you think that they were cast out of bodies? And if that's the case, how did that happen?
It's interesting at the very least. But yeah, I just wanted you to see one last of these. If you can go back to my screen.
Yeah, Mike.
It's like this art form with sea life.
Always the earliest stuff too. Earliest, primitive life they call this, primal life.
Yeah, primal life. And look how these look like the spears at the edge of. And this ball looks like something you would find in architecture, and
it looks like the top of the buildings that are illuminating.
That looks like
zigzag off of them, radiating.
That looks like the tree spikes.
It looks like so many things. You can if you have a mind like a mind for syncretism and stuff like that, you can just start from this picture and go anywhere in the world, basically.
Wow.
Mike.
Yeah.
Bone Mike.
Which Mike?
You've been finding 4-chamber hearts. Now, what do you think about giant avian creatures? We know that things were larger in the past.
Yeah.
Would you be able to spot, given enough time, a massive bird heart?
Well, the thing is, I haven't gone and compared the anatomy on hearts from cross species. So I'm sure there's variations, and there's probably going to be differences in shape as well.
Yeah, there's one major variation, and it's 3-chamber versus 4-chamber. I mean, that's the basic one. Damn it, I follow too many things. I want to dive into it. What you're getting into is, I think it's a big deal.
Yeah, this is. I think this is huge, because let me show you. Let me show you a couple more things. If you go back to my screen, or do I have to share again? Oh, there we go.
I think that's it.
Okay. All right. So this is one. So then this morning I'm looking around after I gathered all those, and I'm like, well, what about the bigger rocks? And then I came across this one. You can see my foot.
I think it's just big.
There's your aorta.
Oh yeah, dig it.
Dig it, baby.
Oh yeah, we're supposed to see Mike's.
Now watch. I'm going to turn it over.
Are you putting Mike's screen as the fundamental screen?
Yep.
Okay. Because
we have to see the giant heart.
So that is, if you think of, there's your blood vessel openings again. So this is 1.5 feet long, and how big would the creature have to be to have a heart that big?
A giraffe.
A giraffe? Does it have a heart that big?
Could be. Yeah, I think it needs a huge heart, because it has to pump for like 3 meters straight vertical up in the air to reach its brain. So it needs a huge heart.
Right. They should not exist.
Shoot, I think they're just.
Oh my gosh!
I just wait 1 second.
Now this is so funny, because
it could also be a giant human heart, because as I can show you guys what we found at Castle Denia. Just a second. It's one picture, guys.
A giraffe doesn't necessarily need a really big heart, because its neck is full of a certain valve that keeps the blood pressure up.
Yeah, you need high
interesting
more than anything. The heart. There are people that say the heart's a vortex, not a pump.
Yeah, true. I would also go with that. But yeah, let me just find the very interesting art piece you can see at the entrance to Denia Castle. Oh yeah, here it is. So wait, I'll just this is the entrance to Denia Castle, and here's the art piece I'll show you in just a minute. Look at how Arabian this entrance is. But
Hey,
yeah.
it's one of those keyholes, Mike.
But yeah, this is the art piece, and this is showing Denia Castle in the 1600s. And there's something very odd about this picture, because we have little people
Those little
and
tiny
giant people,
giant, yeah.
and
Unbelievable.
it's just
Right next
unbelievable.
Not even on the other side
Oh.
of the wall, right next to each other.
And we can even see, like, here, this is not a perspective thing. This is really giants, and this is like boats for small people, and this is boats for giants.
And the giants are like, get out, like pointing, like go.
And this is a giant captain, and I think these are giants as well. It could be little people, these, but I think this is a giant captain because of his head, and then these guys' heads are like very small compared to this guy. But also see like how it's not only the elite who are emphasized in the picture. There are like, common people here, and then you have poor giants or less clothed giants, and they're like dark Moorish. And then you have the more European elite looking like giants within the walls. And these are the guys you find on Renaissance paintings, and these guys are absolutely giants. So it's funny, huh? So maybe you find one of these guys' hearts.
Yeah, it's possible.
There's if you imagine the heart of this guy and compare it with our size, could be.
There are also some mythologies surrounding the mountain that have to do with Titans. I think it's Tiamat and Marduk or something. There was a battle that led to the creation of the mountain. So that's an interesting thing also, is that the mountain itself has some mythology related to Titans.
And you even have a mythical quest for the Horn of Tiamat.
I keep looking into how these could have gotten torn out of the chest cavities and thrown to the bottom of the sea. And it sounds like if they were giants,
Kalima.
sense actually. Look at the stories of the 3,600-year-old pit full of giant hands that they discovered in Egypt just like a year or two ago. I mean, it was pretty interesting.
Oh yeah, taking noses and ears for trophies.
Yeah, but also being afraid of the heart, throwing it away or casting it into a pit or something to that effect, collecting them, and they ended up in one area like that. I mean, come on.
You guys have seen Richard Lopez's video on giants, the recent one he did, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's so undeniable that they were all over the place. So
yeah, no question. There's giants and dwarves basically living. It sounds like side by side. That's what I'm looking into and seeing now. But
that is also shown in pop culture. Giants fighting dwarves.
Yeah, and the dwarves are not incapable, but also it seems like dwarves tend to be more telepathic or empathic or some sort of they have some sort of magical quality. It comes up again and again, whereas giants, they have the strength, but they don't often play the giants as being like, there's like giants that have been removed of hyper intelligence. There are some giants that are just automatons or pets almost, and then they've become a little bit too smart.
Or maybe the historians are just trying to do to the giants what they've done to men in general. I mean, if you think about men and how they're treated in the mainstream, media and television shows, like they're trying to make us all out to look like we're all stupid.
We're oafish brutes. Oafish brutes. Now, that actually, the dumbing down of larger humans, that fits right in with your wolf boy story, Andreas.
Interesting.
The wolf children, they're raised with nothing. That part of their brain doesn't develop, and it never will after a certain age, which makes it feel quite hopeless that we're all full-grown adults. And should we have been given the opportunity or the tutelage to enjoy a different experience, maybe a more psychic experience or ethereal or esoteric, that we may have developed something, but it's too late physically for us.
Well, it'd be interesting if it was a Babylonian Yeah, I mean, well, because we could lose it too, and so the people have to keep carrying it on. We have to keep sharing it. So then
Yeah, vestigial organs are, I mean, we have gallbladders and we have appendixes, and there's plenty of ideas on it, but they're largely vestigial.
What's the big and I'm not saying this is the actual reason for it, but what do they say is the reason they think we had the appendix, right?
I don't remember, but I think it was to process wood, like termites.
That's a good reason too. But I've heard it was for dealing with rocks. If you have
That would be cool. Yeah, or silicon trees.
So if you're eating animals that are made up of rocks and have stones in them, often you're eating the parts of them that are biological, but you're digesting and excreting the stones, or you're saving them. Like crocodiles will eat rock, and it'll end up in their stomach just to grind up the things in the stomach itself.
Yeah, chickens peck gravel.
You're talking about the appendix doing this?
This is what they try to push as the reason why we might have an appendix and why you don't need it, because you don't eat enough rocks anymore. But what I've found is that people who don't have appendix, they tend to get what are those called, gallstones and things more when they drink mineral water and all this stuff. I've never had.
I think that has more to do with the flora, because one theory that I've heard about the appendix is that it's actually a place that the healthy bacteria can retreat to when the body is under attack from a particularly gruesome bacteria. So
recently,
it's a way for the healthy bacteria to repopulate itself after the in the aftermath.
But if you're eating, if you're eating copper and silver and everything else, your gut fauna ends up getting killed a lot. So it needs a place like that to go, and that's why that place ends up having minerals or content-rich mineral like rock.
So it's a bastion factory within us.
Well,
perhaps.
The appendix, people want to know what it's for and why we don't need it anymore. Because what did we need it for? I mean, how can we be talking about medicine and how can we be the skeptical ones? Everyone's saying, "Oh, you guys are getting it wrong. There's an official." Well, okay, then tell me the official history of the appendix.
Yeah. There's no right. They don't know. They admit they don't know. So our idea is valid because it's only an idea, the same as theirs.
At least we have some examples of it in function now, though. It's kind of nice. Like,
I'd like to just change the subject a little bit and share something more, because I was listening to the chat that you had with Brittany and Mike on volcanism, and it was very, very fascinating. About the pyroclastic flows and all of that. And I was thinking, as you two were bouncing these ideas back and forth and talking about these different things, I just kind of had this epiphany in the moment that, oh my gosh, this is an explanation for how Montgo could have been fossilized, this gigantic elephant. And because I was having a hard time imagining mud, reaching up high enough and encasing the creature for long enough that all of the mud, because this is the idea behind mud fossil theory, is that it's surrounded by a substrate of mud, and depending on the mineral makeup of that mud, those minerals work their way into the tissues. The gas and the liquid that's inside of the organ works its way out, and then what's left is stone in the end, right, as things dry out. So I was having a hard time imagining that happening on such a grand scale, although there is a star fort around here at 850 meters height that's 2/3 covered in mud, and the top of Montgo is only 753 meters. So that's an interesting thing, that there is actually evidence not far from the mountain of what appears to be a mud flood that reached all the way up to 850 meters, which is pretty phenomenal. I took Andreas and Victor and Carly and Howard up there and gave them a tour.
That crazy feeling when you look at a star fort? It's even more real when you're in a star fort and then spiders come out of the walls.
You just had to mention those spiders, did you?
I mean, come on. I had to make up for being afraid in the cave that I got to see all the spiders. I was like, ooh.
You're slowly leading us into Spider-Man versus Batman
There
in
it
the
is.
old world.
Mike has got it on screen right here, right now. I recognize that spot. Is that the one?
Yeah, that's the one.
Oh
That's
yeah,
the one.
that's what.
Yeah.
That's where we were.
This is even okay.
Yeah.
It looks so impressive from the sky.
I can show you pictures as well. I have them open right here from where we went, so we can see from the ground and from how it looks from up.
If anything, I want to hear what Nathan has to share today.
Oh yeah, but just guys, if Mike, if you can show somehow my screen as well, like you can see this is how it looks from the ground. If you guys can see that.
No, your screen is two people walking on a beach.
Yeah, sorry. I like that. Okay, so this is what it looks like from the ground.
That looks higher from the ground photos.
It's crazy. It's pretty tall, but this is from far enough back that it looks pretty. Look how small the guy is in the back left there in those photos. You can see it's actually pretty large.
This is Andreas up here.
Yes.
And Mike.
Oh yes.
And I think this is No, that might be another girl.
It could be a Danish tourist. You never know.
This is the view from the Starfort outside. This is I think Javier, or I think
that's looking down on Albir, and a little to the right of that would be Benidorm.
This is Benidorm. That's the giant Antiquitech tower.
That's two towers with a downwards pointed pyramid held between them above. Kind of neat, to be honest. And you have a picture, if you zoom down left in this corner, bottom left corner of this photo, you can see the mining going on of the mineral quarrying going on of a volcano, like a dead volcano, or, there's like a bunch of minerals right here. Oh, is this frozen?
Hello.
He'll be back.
There he is.
Lost. Do you see the minerals quarrying going on?
And we see the M-shaped building.
Oh, we lost Victor too. Eh? Oh, there's Victor.
This is Andreas and Mike.
I'm back.
Representing, not bad. And yeah.
Victor, your screen sharing's off. Put it back on for a second if you can.
Oh.
You have the mineral quarrying, which was really interesting. Right in front of the Starfort, there's a big hill being quarried in that picture.
Something went wrong, huh?
They don't like it when we share too much information all at once.
Okay.
They just can't keep up.
This is me grounding. This, right?
Yeah. Look to the
No,
left.
that's not mining.
No, there's
Those
a
look like swales.
Those are tents for loquat production.
Oh, loquats. Well, but to the left of these, I don't mean those. I mean to the far left of this picture. Where was it? I remember we specifically were looking at it. There's a hill that's being quarried.
Are you mixing up left and right?
No, I'm sure that it's to the left.
Okay, I'm sorry. That was a stupid question.
That's a political joke. These days,
we're moving on, Andreas. We're moving on.
Very well.
Okay, but yeah, this was the Starfort. So.
Oh wait! Also, just show you have a picture of the brick part, because the brick part with the curve, the arching part.
Okay, yeah, okay.
I mean, it's like Vietnam level trench tunnels, and Vietnam we know also has a bunch of Starforts, and there are all these stories of people hiding in the trenches and the tunnel systems that are under Vietnam, right? And so here's some examples of these great giant tunnels, but this is up on top of this hill, which is supposed to be kind of, impenetrable by a mud flood, you'd think. But if you've ever seen a volcano go off, mud goes up a hill if it comes out of a volcano pretty fast. So this whole place is buried in lava.
Lahars, exactly. That's a perfect segue back into what I wanted to mention before and talk to you about, Nathan, is the
this is red tiles, guys. Red tiles used in ancient times as and the inner part of the wall. You can see back here again.
And the corners of the star fort are made out of the rock that's used there is the solid limestone that's almost always not vascular. In other words, if that's indeed bone, that would be the cortical bone, the thicker non-vascular bone of the
It has the same
Titan.
organic. It has the same organic thing to it, and you have a lot of mushroom growing on it.
Right. Yeah.
And this is the inner part of it. Red tiles with red brick. I would imagine red brick technology.
Yeah, I mean, we could probably do a whole show just on that one star fort. I've got so much footage, both video and photos.
We must do it, especially considering how. I mean, I thought I had a Tartarian upgrade, dude. 3.0 with the iron blood. Like, this is insane. The stuff that you're presenting.
These are the archways you see a lot of times inside the star forts. So you would have like the inner pentagon if it's like a 5-pointer. So the inner pentagon, not the pentagram, but the inner pentagon would have archways on the lines of the pentagon, and so you see that on a lot of star forts.
You think the archways then are original construction when they built the base, because those corners are clearly the original construction. How deep
the
it goes.
Archways are part of the original structure. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, because you can see in different parts, not in this picture, but on other sections of the star fort, you can see that it was built in different eras, and with each era, it gets progressively sloppier and uglier.
Yeah, so also a testament to the arch that is totally mud flooded here.
Is this the Beetlejuice cave with all the giant arachnids?
No.
Okay.
No, that's a different one.
Traumatized. Okay.
This is more of it.
Look how buried this place is. Please.
Yeah, that's in the very center of the whole thing. There's mud going all the way up to the top of those arches, which that was probably what sat up highest.
It's totally different kind of rock than the rest of the rock. Like walking around.
There you are, Mike.
Hey. Mike and I look, ladies and gentlemen. Round of applause for Mike and I.
And this is like an inside part of the. You could go inside here, and it totally smooth, like cement, like modern, like.
It's not the same material.
That was originally like half moon shaped, and it's about 1.5 feet thick, and it's solid, and it almost seems like concrete. But going right through the middle of that is about a 6-inch pipe as well. So it wasn't just a big thick wall. They had the whole thing was plumbed,
ventilated, and plumbed. Yeah.
So you guys can see how completely mud flooded this whole thing is. It would be very interesting to dig it out.
I would love to get a geological. We have some geological samples. I'd love to get some counter opinions. You know, everyone's all like, "Oh, you guys." No, not everybody, but a few. So seriously, we'd love to have some do some studies on this material. It's not.
Look at that.
Yeah, we were talking about that a couple months ago. If somebody wants to take a chip of this rock and send it in any continent in the world you're on, we don't care. Tell us what it's made of.
Oh, I need to go find some parts.
And whether it has DNA.
That's a guarantee.
Yeah, because it's there's just so much. So thinking of Lahars, can I just segue back into what I wanted to ask you about before? Let me screen share. Okay. Are you seeing mine now?
Oh, you're still seeing my screen, guys?
Victor, can you hear Bone Mike?
No. He's muted.
Mike, you muted yourself, but you know.
Both mics muted themselves, but it's okay. We like you anyway.
Mike was talking about getting back to the Lahars and presenting. And I don't know if everybody else heard him. Were you guys hearing him?
I did hear him, but then he ended up being blanked out. Mike, where?
He might be having connection issues right now.
Oh, it could be.
But look at this arch, guys.
Which one of you is that?
This is Carly, I think. It might not be. No, I don't think so.
It's totally Carly. It's totally Carly.
Oh yeah, it's Carly.
Yeah.
This is Mike and Andreas.
I think.
Carly.
I think.
So you guys are all pretty tall. Who's the tallest?
I think I am.
Yeah, you're the tallest, but you're also the lankiest. So
I'm also a Danish guy. So
come on.
it just comes
Now you've
naturally, I
given me a
guess.
preconception about Danish people.
Jürgen.
Jürgen, Bjergen.
Gosh.
I just wanted you to show you that inside the thing.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, there you go.
Okay,
There's
good.
Carly as well.
Something was glitching. Sorry.
Melodic squat form. Very good.
This is the inside of the little cave I showed you in the stuff art, and look how smooth this part of it is. It's like modern day cement construction, and it evokes that idea with all the graffiti as well. This could be like inside of a modern city, right? Like in the underground or something. But no, this is 850 meters in elevation inside a bird star fort.
Yeah, and it's underground, so it's the star fort is buried, and then you go down to get into this hole.
There's water running in here. We can hear it, but yeah, you cannot see it, and it smells very moldy in here. And they made a ramp to go down further.
And you play golf on it.
I like that. That's AstroTurf.
There. Oh,
Yeah.
this is amazing. This is what I was talking about before, but maybe I was muted. That's about 1.5 feet thick, and that was originally a half moon shape, so it curved around. And when you get inside, I don't know if you got any pictures of that, but you can see
This is
that
the inside.
No, I mean inside the entrance there.
Yeah, the round room that he's pointing to. There's a round.
Yeah,
room.
because that's the entrance. Yeah, you can't see it in that picture. You can't see it. I have a picture of it, but I have to find it. Hold on one second.
I got all that 4K video to put it together. Let's do that.
Yeah.
Give me just 1 second.
The calligraphy is interesting. With the J 963.
I want to give Nathan a chance to talk as well today.
Yeah, we want Nathan to present.
We're gonna make sure Nathan presents. I just want to make sure Mike gets a little bit more of this cave part, because the star fort itself was pretty interesting.
But one last thing, guys, we want Mike to, if you can just go into my screen again, just quickly. Mike, you remember we talked about the terraces that are all over Spain. These are all terraces, right? And
yeah, I can show that better with Google Earth.
No, but just look at this picture, right? Because it gives you the whole thing. There are terraces all over this valley we're walking in, on the opposite part of the mountain. Look at that. And what was your idea with the terraces? Why do they?
Well, a couple ideas are if the Titans have died and their bones have become rock, it's trabecular bone, then it's really jagged. It's terrible stone, but you can break it into smaller and smaller pieces. So one way to get rid of it, if it was everywhere, is to line it up in these rows to create terraces, so you can grow olive trees and almond trees, and those are the most common, orange, I suppose. So that's one thing. I always thought they were being used for agriculture, but when I started to hear about the whole liquefaction thing, it occurred to me that maybe this was also a method to minimize liquefaction. If there's some kind of resonant frequency that's causing the earth to liquefy, then this might capture it in little pools. It's just a thought. I have no idea if there's any truth to it.
Like they stop an avalanche with layers or lines of like walls. These could be the same idea, like anti-liquefaction.
That's actually anti-erosion and everything. To prevent soil loss, you have to create level ground and at some point so that you can plant things. Now in Washington, we have.
But imagine, Nathan. Sorry to interrupt you. Imagine that if all these terraces were for planting stuff, right? just count all the potential trees for growing stuff here. So how many people were in the ancient world, since they needed so much space to grow stuff?
Well, I mean, we
Yeah,
read
that's
records of all the people that died, all these plagues. They keep saying, "Oh, like billions."
But yeah, aren't you overdoing it when you're building it like 1 kilometer up the mountain and just keep on going, and it's like there's no order to it, it's just everywhere?
Unless the sea level is changing rapidly based on glacial lakes that are being formed and the water's being collapsed, so it's pouring out of one region into another region, right?
I'm just saying.
Well, I can tell you that the
river.
rivers are strewn with bodies everywhere.
You don't have to plant anything. You just have to provide something for things to grow on. That'll come naturally. But the root system is what's going to hold everything in place. That's how you stop soil erosion. You don't cut the trees down. If you cut trees on hills, then you lose that hill in 5-6 years' time because there's nothing left. The roots will rot and the hill will go.
So this is the cell wall-free version of an invertebrate, and it's using the hill as its shell, and it's kind of building it together, the veins and the fascia, and holding it together. Otherwise, I think something that I want to finish on this and give back to Nathan is that Mike had mentioned the idea of liquefaction being cured by rice hill terracing. Terracing the mountain then means that you can put the roots into these places, the water can come up through the liquefaction zones, and you can hold the hill together probably for centuries longer than years. You know what I mean?
Exactly, yes, and it holds the water. Those are called swales. It's where you dig a trench in a hillside, and you can plant inside that trench or right on the lip, and the roots hold the hill together, and the water stays in the ditches, which are leveled, terraced like that. Look at any part of agriculture in Asia on the hillsides. You'll see it's their preferred method, and it's why we know of it today, because they have never stopped using it.
Well, I get that, but the conclusion then is that judging by the amount of terraces, is that they were everywhere, and everyone did it, and there are billions of them.
Yeah, it's truly bog-minding.
And
how many there are.
Give me a quick rundown, Nathan, on swaling. I feel super swaled by this whole thing, and now, if everyone's willing to, I feel like it's time for Nathan to drop the bomb. It's like I have some feelings.
Can I just tie up one loose end before?
Yeah, I was waiting for Mike to finish up before I started.
So, sorry if I'm going slow, but
no,
all right.
ADD.
So, can you see my screen? No.
Put the screen on Mike.
Your camera.
I'm seeing Mike seeing someone else's screen.
Is this Bog Volcano? Is this the volcano bog?
There. Do you see my screen now?
Oh yeah, I remember being there. It was a good day.
Yeah, this is cool. So this is. I just want you to take a look at this, Nathan, because when you're talking about pyroclastic flows, right? So this is white. This is limestone. I think this is part of creature, right? Then you have this bottom layer. This is lava. I'm assuming it could be blood, but it has a lava feel. And then here you've got several different layers. I'll show a better picture, but if you look here, this is red with lots of white rocks. So this is, to me, it is fossilized blood with limestone rocks embedded in it. So it's a mix of blood and bone, and it's all on top in a layer on top of the lava. So first lava, then you have bone and blood fossilized, then you have up here another layer of earth, and this is loose. You can break this off, whereas this is hard like stone. The red is hard, but it's still softer than the white. And so then this area here is an earthen layer that's on top of that. So that's just to introduce the idea.
See how it flew down the hill, and then the water broke the rest of it off, so you can see how it was a flow down, and the shoreline now is a result of the water breaking that 45-degree slope down into the water.
Look at Victor.
And also notice Victor's stylish polo neck and his Nikon, which is
Victor looking really cool there. Okay, so this has actually been cut out. This is a type of stone that they call Tolska, and they've excavated here and they've used the blocks to build like the churches and different things. But this is the different layers that I'm talking about. And I think they're sorting themselves out based quite simply on density. You know,
Did you
heaviest layer on the bottom?
Don't you mean gravity?
Like water and oil in a cup.
Oh, sorry, I meant gravity.
Did you get to watch that the footage that I showed you about how things organize themselves beneath the ground during times of liquefaction? You remember I shared that to you?
Is this the there? I saw something where they were exhibiting that sand could bubble like water given the right conditions.
Yes.
Is this that?
Yeah, I sent that to you in the PM, and you see that the behavior is actually, in most cases, the opposite of what we would expect. So this goes a long way to explain what you're seeing. However, you see those rocks choked up in that iron oxide rich soil. This is, I mean, you can call it blood, you could just call it clay. I don't care, it doesn't matter.
Well, the reason I think
idea
it's blood
about
is because of its proximity.
It's called sediment.
Oh no. What I mean is, it doesn't matter for the purpose of my point. Those huge rocks caught up in that soil means that those were deposited at the same time. At the same time. So you're not looking at layers and layers and layers above that hard layer.
Right. No, I'm thinking like
came at once. That is,
I'm thinking lava flow, then you know the flow of the water and mud, the lahar, right? And then ash would settle on top of that, I guess. I mean, I don't know.
So
settling materials then find their pure electrostatic, and then push away the other material, and then they become layers based on density, which is basically the opposite of what everyone teaches, but it's the only way things seem to work in nature that we've ever seen. Like, look at Hawaii, and tell me that's not exactly how the layers are forming right now. We have this happens last year. There's a huge number of these happening in Hawaii, and you're following the exact same pattern of forming.
So what you're seeing when you look at liquefaction, you can't just consider the vibration. You have to consider the resonator. You have to consider the bedrock itself resonates in frequency with that vibration. And so that hard layer of rock will have helped resonance spread that soft layer above. That layer that you're looking at that's been carved into and used as stone aided in the spread of the conglomerate above it. Anywhere you find bedrock, the bedrock doesn't crack, the bedrock vibrates in tune.
Well, that's interesting, because that relates to a theory I have about the limestone also, because if you think about our bones and how the bones are built, it's a crystalline matrix, and bones are actually strengthened by some degree of impact. You know, that it's the body reinforces itself where things are needed. Yeah, it's called specific adaptation to an implied demand. So as the body is, it's just like if you're going to build your muscles up, bodybuilding, you're craving.
Micro tears must be created. Yeah.
Right. So if you think about the crystalline matrix of bone, you've got the trabecular bone in the center, which is like Swiss cheese that is filled with blood, and that's where our blood is produced in our long bones of our body. And that is
marrow.
Yeah, and that's going to be that's all produced there in the marrow, and then you have the outer cortical bone, which is going to be layered like rings of a tree, and it's very little in the way of vascularity. So I think with the star forts, this is one of the reasons I think they're using the limestone maybe, and that the actual corners of the forts are made out of that kind of stone, because it seems like it would absorb the vibration of the bedrock below very nicely, because it would be made out of the same things that the bedrock is made out of.
Yes, that's the importance of the cornerstone, and it's something overlooked. Now, if you want to do a strange experiment with bones, go and find a bone and stick it in your crock pot, and then put a cup of water in there and come back 4 hours later and look at how the bone falls apart.
What did you say to me?
It is really strange, but you will actually see the marrow begin to, you'll see the microfibers and the tiny Swiss cheese holes, and this stuff breaks apart in heated water over the course of hours, and it feels like gritty sand. It's the strangest thing. I crock pot a lot, so I noticed the bones.
Did you see my fourth video? The one where I went into the tissues around Montgo, the different rock specimens that I was talking about, blood and plasma and albumin and long chain fatty acids. Did you see that one?
No, but that's going to go on the top of the list. I'm 3 deep.
You need. I think you need to see that.
I will then.
One because, I'm curious to hear what you think of that, because there's here on the plateau, and I walking around with Andreas and Victor, they got to see these rocks firsthand, where you've got the Swiss cheese, you've got the red earth oozing out of the Swiss cheese holes. Then all of those rocks are lying upon a massive sea of red earth. And then you have large sections of massive cortical blocks of stone that are like 2 foot, 3 foot thick and have very little in the way of vascularity. They're all up there, along with a ton of crystal, which is very often yellow, and it looks just like albumin.
Have you encountered anywhere in your mountain black rock deposits?
Black? No. Interestingly enough, no. Like coal or
no, just where the rock in any pocket takes on a black.
Yeah, well, what I would say about that, and I think Roger from Mud Fossils gave me this idea, was that the venous blood flow in creatures is going to fossilize more than the arterial blood flow, because veins have a valve system. So when our blood pressure is lower in the veins, and so for the blood to get back to the heart, there's a pumping mechanism that happens as we exercise, as we're walking and moving. Our calf muscles contract, and that's causing these valves to open as it's squeezed. And then as the muscle relaxes, the blood doesn't rush backwards despite the lower pressure, because the valves hold the blood in place. So because of that, as it fossilizes, it's going to be first of all, it's going to be lacking in iron, because it's not oxygenated blood. The iron is held in the hemoglobin of the blood. So that's why the red blood is red, because it's got hemoglobin, and then that's bound to the oxygen. So
yes,
when the venous blood fossilizes, it turns black. That's the short answer.
That was my question. If you had found that, whenever you get a blood blister and it does not, you can see this in your skin. It's red for a little while, then purple, then black, and your body has harvested the oxygen and iron from it, the heme.
Yeah.
And
absolutely, there's tons of examples of that. You can see, like, it'll not only will it leak out of a hole, and it'll be black, but it'll be like draining downwards. There'll be like if it's on a surface that's horizontal or not horizontal, perpendicular to the ground, then as it's going to have a venous drainage, and that's going to be black, and it's really obvious once somebody's pointed it out to you.
Mm-hmm.
Just like how all the holes start to look like blood vessels. And the other thing that I point out a great deal in the fourth video is that there's a Fractal Ization that's happening. So you get, especially in the larger blocks of stone, I've got some that are like the size of cars, and they've got these big blood vessels that are like 10 inches wide. And then it breaks off into smaller and smaller branches like a tree. It's fractal in nature. So yeah, I've got lots of examples of that in the video. But
hell yeah, that's good. I'm going to have to catch it now.
It's going to be interesting to hear how. It's impossible to keep up. How could you ever be anything but behind? It's just an avalanche of information coming in all the time.
Yeah. Better all than nothing.
Yes.
I don't understand how anyone in the world could ever say they're bored. I haven't been bored in 2 years.
Yeah.
I know the feeling.
Sometimes I need to be grounded again by the different things we talk about, though, because I know people that are all into different things. You know, there's people that are, you're crazy. The world's expanding and round, and other people are like, you're crazy. The world's getting smaller and it's flat. And the other, it's like, okay, guys, let's just all talk about it. Like looking at the organs fit together, it seems like it's like a good way to marry all of these different people's ideas. So I find it very useful, at least in game theory. Like we're looking at these things and they fit together. Right?
Yeah,
Absolutely.
and whether it's large or small, what did Yoda say? Size matters not. The shit is the same. It behaves the same. It's scalar. And you just have to look at it and pretend that you're smaller or you're bigger than you actually are for it to make sense.
As above, so below.
Here's the thing about that I find interesting. Once you start studying nanotechnology, they tell you that's not true anymore because the size, let's say you have a volume to mass ratio. So the surface area of a tiny little ball would be more surface to the less volume, right? Because there's so much more surface. But a giant sphere, like this idea of a huge planetoid or spheroid thing, there'd be more volume to less, surface area, right? So that changes electrostatic behavior. And all of a sudden, wouldn't you know it, when you start measuring things for real that you can look at, like nano things, they don't have the same gravitational nonsense that we were taught in school. They actually work just like you'd think they'd work in sort of a, a real reality.
That's a big deal.
Sorry to interrupt.
Sorry?
Oh, I was just going to say, did any of you hear Baked in Awake's podcast? Because he was talking about it like a lens, that is put over our eyes that keeps us from seeing the truth, and so we're constantly operating in this paradigm that doesn't match our physical reality, and so we're trying to fit things, through a glass darkly.
That's why I'm trying to get you to read Teilhard Chardin, man. Like his whole thing on geospheres and socialization of organs and of mollusks and stuff like that to create political bodies, and then choosing what kind of body an organism lives in, like the siphonophoric jellyfish. And I hope we can look up at some point that siphonophore and get people to notice it. But there's something to awareness being the uniting factor of organisms or organs, So the Earth itself, it teaches this in school. They say, okay, at this point, you go to school and they're going to tell you the Earth is alive. It's called Gaia theory. But I mean, like they teach you that in kindergarten to 9th grade, pretty regular, 12th grade, pretty regularly now. So I mean, it's looking at. Did you already say this, right? Like the African heart. It looks.
I just want to say, can I share the screen one last real quick time, and then I'll pass it over to Nathan. Promise. Let me just do this. I got to show this. Sorry, I'm just too excited about it. Okay. So take a look at these.
Gosh, right?
Okay. So if you see the cutout here,
exactly what I was thinking.
This Eye of the Sahara. Look at this. This line here is the sulcus. There's your coronary artery. There's the sulcus. Here's your right atrium, and check it out. I think that the Red Sea is the coronary sulcus, and that this is the right atrium. And
have you heard the idea that Antarctica is a kidney?
No.
I will show you later. It's exactly what you're on with Africa.
No way. Really? This is a thing?
Yeah. This is super hot.
This is something you couldn't say around the Christmas table.
I say it anyways.
Nathan, this is what you were asking about. There's your black rock, and it's coming out of these holes, and it's dripping down. Can you see that?
There we are. The discoloration is characteristic. Exactly.
To be
Yeah,
fair,
so this is the blood without the venous flow, and then I'm just going to show you one last thing here.
in the Christmas
and-
table, you should be allowed to talk about the bread being the body and the wine being the blood. So I feel like we'll get away with the pelvis being Antarctica, the pancreas. Where are the pirates of the
If
pancreas?
you ever try to go in on Mont Go and you don't have 3D buildings turned on, then you can't see it properly. But so this is we talked about venous flow. Here's your limestone. Whenever the limestone is broken away, it exposes the spongious bone inside. The trabecular bone of the skull is much smaller, and it's like a sandwich. So you get the gray limestone, and then when it's broken away, you get this iron-rich blood that's produced in the spongious bone of the skull. And you can see it there, and you can see it here where the ear has been torn away. Oops. Oop, there we go. So
Yeah, the fresh break.
here you see the ear was attached, right? And there's also a cutout for the neck, right? And then if you go here, there's a cutout for the neck as well. But right here is another cave. That's the ear. It's the most thoroughly excavated cave in all of Europe, and it's right there where the ear canal should be. And then there's the eye. Anyway, that's it. That's what I wanted to share. And so yeah, so Africa may be a heart. Who knows? A heart of Africa, isn't that a thing?
And on that giant heart of Africa is a Titan elephant. No, that's in Spain. Sorry, I'm getting carried away.
There is a huge thing about Haile Selassie. Africa is the heart of the earth.
Oh,
the heart of culture. Wow, look at this.
I forgot to share a picture of Pangaea. If you look up Pangaea, that also starts to look a bit like a heart. Like all of the organs come together and then form a bigger being. But
wow,
we really getting out there.
We are the world.
Well, Nathan, you are the world right now, so take it away.
Yes,
girl. Okay.
You got stuff to screen share.
Yep, and I've begun. Who's heard this?
Oh, this is gonna be good.
Look at these basalt columns. Wow, they're very pretty. Wow. Look at that strange formation. Look at the curvature. Now, Wise Up will tell you that these are fossilized tree roots.
Mm-hmm.
You know what Roger from Mud Fossils will say?
He will say that this is part of like an angle.
An Achilles tendon.
Oh yeah. I don't like either of the ideas.
This is some Lord of the Rings shit.
That's
Look at
for
that.
sure.
Now, I think that no matter what you think they are this way because of volcanism.
I agree.
Okay, so we're on the same page for this. I live in Washington. That's right. We have the same things here in a place called Vantage, right off of the Columbia River. It's a hot climbing spot.
Yeah, they love these.
They really do. These are called the fingers.
Well, yeah, I've seen like the ancients saying that these hexagonal stone-like formations are always found around volcanic events, and they are part of the electrical component of volcanism. Like
exactly.
Yeah.
You and I have spoken on this before. How do you magnetize a piece of rock or a piece of metal? You pump electricity through it until these molecules coalesce and take on the same internal structure. And so you're seeing this on a very, very, very large scale. That's right. I said very so much that it must mean a lot of very.
So much that perhaps it was the result of the giant earthquake, which also set off the Ring of Fire all at once.
So you think
That
this might
such
be
a large event could account for
you think this might be a
a
5G,
huge
6G endgame then? Is do we get enough electricity pumping through things to create like a similar frequency for Christmas?
Patience.
Okay.
Yeah, let Nathan unravel this
Oh boy.
mystery.
We talk about the past so much, and I feel like most of the people that tune in for this stuff, they look at the past so hard and forget that it's a mirror for the future.
Mm-hmm.
And when we're looking at this stuff in the past, we need to think about how it applies to our now and how it may be happening again. Now, you talked, this is just a little segue on future videos on volcanism, because Brittany and I really hit the tip of the iceberg.
Yeah, we're getting back on that.
It's
Yes.
whirlwind. What, Mike?
We're getting back to that as soon as she has some free time.
Yes, we have not been able to sync up. May has been actually a terrible month for all of our schedules.
I've been
But-
talking to Brittany though about we've got a plan. It's going to be way cooler because we got a little bit of time to make sure she has her full vision on it. It's going to be incredible.
Okay. Now, the idea being that looking at the past and looking at events, it's not just figuring out someone lied to us, someone's a bad guy. Oh my God, someone lied to us, someone's a bad guy? Who's the bad guy? Find the bad guy. I'm sick of it. I'm sick of hearing it. You need to know what you're looking at so that when you see it again, you can recognize it for what it is. Just like you found hearts on a beach, Bone Mike. Now, when you talk about finding things,
Bones
you-
within bones.
yeah, that used to be other things, all I can think about is how I've been looking for months into how human bones, human blood, bull blood, everything was willfully used to consecrate old walls. They poured blood and wine and lavender into mortar to change the color and smell of the walls they made in Karnak. And we're doing it again. We're going to legalize composting.
Hashtag oof.
Oh,
my
shit.
gosh.
Now, we know about the Andover workhouse incident where hungry men who were bone grinders, because that was a job in the abbeys that turned into asylums largely. But if you're traveling through the countryside, you can get work in a workhouse. And if you're working in a workhouse, one of your jobs is rock crushing and bone grinding. Later on, this actually became punishment. So if you went to jail, you could be forced to grind bones. Now, in the 1800s in Andover, there was a fight amongst the people grinding the bones. They were fighting over the flesh left on the bones. And it's my contention that those were human bones as well as animal. And I think that humans, although Titans and everything may have been put into the rocks beforehand, or the rocks may have just been made of it, I think that for a long time we've been putting all the bones, no matter who they came from or what,
Like,
into our structure.
isn't Rosslyn Chapel and the catacombs just a symbolical confirmation of that? Like,
Yeah, but that's a garbage example because that's just people stacking bones. I'm talking about grinding your bones to make my bricks.
yeah, I get it.
And
But that was why
Five,
it's
oh,
symbolical.
yeah, how do you make a body disappear? Well, now Washington has a way,
Yeah.
and it's wild. And we look at past events so that we can understand the portents of present events. So when I saw this article, thank goodness I knew about the Andover workhouse incident and the old punishment of grinding bones. And we do know of the many, many mortuary crimes that have been unearthed. We do know that Planned Parenthood the world over has been in legal battles because they keep selling aborted fetal organs. And this is a big deal. $14 million lawsuit last July. You can look that up.
This
They
is where
are too valuable on the black market for people to not
Try
want
to make
to
a
do it.
white market for them too.
They are.
Yeah.
They are.
The
Organs.
white market of it is also, the value on the white market is also extremely high. So it's a money machine.
Oil is a joke, and oil is a shell company for the true market. Flesh is the largest dollar trade in the world,
Yes.
Yeah.
and it
Facts.
always has been.
Yeah, there's
So-
even a white market for human flesh leatherware. There was a public company
Yes,
having
watch
a public
bands.
website, and you could buy wallets and shoes in human flesh. Yeah, it's
Yes,
disgusting.
and that was a huge thing with red belts, red leather shoes, and a specific type of red watch band where, get this, the dye turned brown or bluish. So
the
it's
oxidization.
it's highly sought after.
In Hearst Castle, they have a few lamps that are the Magna Carta and parts of the Constitution and things like that printed on. I think it's the Magna Carta is the main one, but it was printed on human flesh. Supposedly, forever everyone knew this. And
Yeah,
Well, the free papal
then
trust
it has to be sheepskin, so they like supposedly switched one out. So
that, there's free papal trusts. The first one, you have convocation, and you have, I can't remember the three names of them right now, but the first one was supposedly written on the skin of a child. So yeah, you see how that
Yes.
practice is
then
pretty much.
there's these invertebrates and crustaceans, right? And so squid supposedly created the first art. There's this idea that the first art we have are the arrangement of whale bones, which is a lost art that humans love to do, by the way, is arrange whale bones. But squids would take whale bones and arrange them at the bottom of the sea, and there are still remnants of whale bones arranged in the bottom of the sea. So there's something also about the arrangement of bones for some purpose. And they're always, guess what, in stars. That's the weirdest way that we can tell that the squid have actually made art, is because they're in symmetrical star shapes.
Yeah, or maybe it's not art for the squid.
Well, what is artifice, these days, right? It could
Well,
probably-
yeah, artifice as in a technical
Yeah.
mastery of something, but it's I get by the broad definition of art it could be, but
Yeah. I don't think it's the squid's personal tastes, maybe.
Well, how can you exclude that
Yeah,
at this point?
fair enough.
All right, guys, I'm short on time.
Sorry.
Back to all of this. We know that just like with the hermit crabs, just like with human bones, just like with your mammoth, everything is recycled for a new purpose. And now humans will be as well. Now we get on to the idea of mud flood or resets. And this is why one of my favorite channels in our Discord is Next Reset. Because I want people looking forward. I want them thinking forward. Not to fearmonger, but I don't care what you call what I say. Yes, fearmongering. It will make you afraid to learn this, and then when that fear goes, you will have a plan. So, to instill a little fear, localized resets, natural resets, complete resets, extinction events, they all do come and may come again. You can track these things, and you should be. Your volcanodiscovery.com will cover just about everything. They have a phone app that will send you notifications specific to your settings, and it doesn't hurt to just have it. I mean, if you get Facebook notifications, sign up for something that might matter.
This might be my favorite app, actually, because it does earthquakes and volcanoes, and it tells you when one happens, but the other one's happening. Because it tells me that there's one happens, there's another happening on the other side.
Yes. So look at these things and consider that volcanoes are directly tied to earthquakes. Both are electrical in nature, both are magnetic in nature, and they may actually be the cause for all of these localized resets. Victor, your tower with the lights, where they said that they lit this tower every day. Well, Tambora blackened the sky for 3 months, and it deleted the summer, and then it took half a decade for the world to recover their agricultural losses. A single volcano. Now imagine if that happens again, what is being put in place? What do we think is going on that our supposed parasite controller buzzword rich elite enemies are doing and not getting us in on? We have to think about how nature may be doing this, and what we're seeing is not nefarious planning, but opportunism.
Yeah, opportunism.
That's
on a
it.
grand
And
scale.
Why does it have to be nefarious planning or not?
there are people that call it.
There's 2 words there. I think planning could be there. It doesn't have to be nefarious.
Yeah, amended. That's agreed.
It's the opportunistic planning.
Yeah.
Well,
with an added disdain for everyone else.
The idea is that
but they don't necessarily care about other people regardless, it sounds like, unless they're their own resources that they can refine.
Well, a mathematical mind would perhaps reduce it to, well, if I have to get through probability-wise, if like my chances will increase by the diminishment of the chances of others, but it doesn't hold true.
Or not even the diminishment. What about these localized resets he's talking about? It could very well be that they're creating little places where things, tangent, and then they can control those tangents as well.
Actually,
how would you control such a thing? Like the potential for chaos is too great. You cannot control it.
You can. What you do is you create the event, and then you tailor the reaction in the public eye to teach them how to react. I shared that video on disaster planning by a social engineering company in the UK. They've been doing it since 2012, creating hashtag campaigns and Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube.
Ones I agree with.
I would make it even more simple. How do you control it? You create the infrastructure after you create the chaos. So right here in Valencia, you have a train system, and you can pay to use the train system if you're local. It's very cheap. But there's zones, and if you go outside the main zone to the airport or to where the Danish people live, it costs more. There's A and D, and if you get access to A and D, you pay twice as much or more. And that's nothing to someone who's Danish. So then they have a train that works for everybody, but no one gets onto the one that goes to their neighborhood except for them. The same thing happened in Bolivia. There's a gondola system. The Bolivians didn't build the gondola system. It was built by an Austrian company called Siemens. And Siemens has put this thing, it's the biggest gondola in the world. And all the Bolivians get to use it, but they can only use the B route. If they use A or D, they get to go further, but it costs twice as much. And if they go to D, it's where all the Germans live. So there's infrastructure, and it keeps the thing working, but it also keeps it working within their boundaries.
Yes, you create the habit of seeking the easiest path, and then you create that easiest path continuously, and you limit what is easy, and you'll see people flock to the easiest path. And this is business. Now, with any governmental system or any control system in the world, say they understood in the 40s just how bad everything can get with cyclic cataclysm. All right, so they tailor it so that when that cataclysm comes, they need to maintain control that they have already wrested from other people. So One of the big rules of business, create value. And so you lie. Are you still watching what I'm sharing?
Yep.
Here, admittance of lies to create the value. So, if you don't know something is coming and then it hits, you look to what? You look to the existing control structure. If they have a plan, you follow the best plan you find. If you know about it beforehand, you can see that there are other better plans. But in the heat of the moment, no.
Is Christiana Figueres actually just Jeff Bridges?
Oh, dang. The dude does not
I
abide.
was just gonna say that. I don't know, man.
Now,
Man,
Every time I
no.
see a turtleneck, I'm always suspicious. Keep
No,
going.
we're stealing Nathan's flow.
they admit here. You can read this, has a goal of not of environmental activists is not to save the world from calamity, but to destroy capitalism? Silly. To institute a control. They tell you what to
This is
be
probably the
afraid
most
of. They tell you what to value.
Mm-hmm. It's
Now,
merely by suggestion.
we have the beginnings of things that are the signs of a next cyclical event, and this will affect all of us. We're headed for something like the Tambora event. I don't care what you think it is. It could be a million things. It could be something called a bond event, where two things happen at once and create this effect, or maybe four. But look at this,
Ideal.
202% of average snowpack in California. This is not regular. It's still snowing in June. It's June.
What?
Yeah.
Yeah, it'll be snowing in California, they think, like the rest of the year in Tahoe and these regions. This is going to be a gnarly year for snow in California.
That's
Yeah.
going to make the soil completely inundated, and that could cause a lot of mud.
California can actually freeze over and bury itself for like a period of time. And there's a lot of plants that are actually designed to have thick subterranean warm root systems with snow above them. That's what these trees are for, actually. Why are they so tall? Because they're designed to be buried in snow. Redwoods can be buried in snow, but we haven't had, this kind of weather in 5,000 to 10,000 years, supposedly.
Ooh, we haven't had this kind of weather in 400, but
Right.
It's about to get worse. That's the entire thing. This is my overarching point. No matter what you see in the past, relate it to the present, because it's happening again. And it struck me as incredibly strange that when I began to talk about current events in the Discord, that so many people were unaware. I had thought that everyone was on the same page as me about this, but we do follow a million separate topics. So it's time for me to talk about the next reset. And yes, be afraid. And when you're done being afraid, come back and let's make a plan, because it's really easy to at least be prepared in your knowledge. All of this has happened, and it all will happen again. And maybe we'll live through it. Maybe it won't even happen until we're telling our children that it might happen, and they'll live through it. That's it. I don't have time to go really deep. I'm going to have to touch on this topic again. Andreas, that video that I showed you just a couple days ago, if you want to splice that in, because it offers up a couple points. This is what we
talking about?
I like what you said on learn how to grow stuff.
Yes. The number one thing for anyone to create value is to make it so you don't know how to grow your own food. You don't know how to recognize what is food. And so when California freezes over, 202% of average snowpack, that's incredible. Now, when that day comes, where food costs more than rent, you're going to have to think about growing food, and you're going to be too late. So it's, yeah. I sent you a video in our private message, just a raw cut, if you want to splice it in. But I think that's it for me today.
And I'll put that on there.
Yeah.
Also, in general, growing food's a
Make it look good.
I was just seeing, like, man, like, you know, we should start a farm. It's not a bad idea. Like, food is like the renewable resource that people forget about.
It's, look at the local laws. Listen, I can't wait to get further into this because we talk about the past so much, but it's time to talk about what's happening right now because it's identical. Yeah, I do have to get out of here, but
It's been beautiful, man.
hopefully we can pick this up again soon.
Absolutely. I like I said, we're gonna expand this. This is the Chroniclers' first like peak. I think we need to move the Cloerifix and Chroniclers into a separate concept.
Yeah, this is the Cloerifix, and then the Chroniclers will have their own.
Yes, I did some preliminary arrangement, and it will be NYC Sync. It'll be Nick Sync and Odin's Son ready to present, and I told them to get together about it, and they've been pretty pumped for it, so they'll be ready.
So that's our plug for that. And I think also we've got a remembrancer's kind of show that we could do easily just between Amoro and Nathan, you know, a couple of those.
That's me. You said me twice.
Whoa, you're just so cool. Can we say you 3 times? All right. But like also Mike, I was thinking about Mike while I was thinking about Amoro. My bad, Nathan. You're a good guy. But yeah, I was just thinking we could have like
Nathan, look at the Ring of Fire.
Yes.
Well, we're having a plug for you guys and how we're gonna have a new thing. And please, people on targetrenova.com, check out, like, this is just part of the Discord. So we have like several groups that we're kind of creating study groups for this. And, you know, we're sharing the information from those studies. That's all we're doing. It's not too far from anything you can be a part of. So please join. All right, Nathan,
Thanks, guys.
you're pressed for time. I love you. I'm so glad you made it work.
Yeah, I'm also pressed for time, so that fits.
Yeah,
It's been a good talk.
quite a while, guys, so that's good.
Victor, Nathan, Mike, God bless you guys. Mike, also Mike 2, M2.
Thanks
for Mike.
joining. Thanks for watching, guys.
All right.
Later.
Have a good night, guys.
Cheers, guys.
Ciao.
Ciao, guys.
Ciao.